Sup, fucker?
How the hell are you?
Dude, I'm good.
Good.
How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yeah.
I like it.
Wish I had like 5 more days off, but
Me too.
can't all be fucking millionaires, I guess. Yet.
Manifestation. Manifestation.
But yeah, doing pretty good.
Have you been manifesting anything?
Nothing big. Like I manifested my grass to get cut yesterday, even though I didn't want to all day long. I was like, fuck that grass, dude. I'm not doing it.
To be fair,
I'll just do it next week.
I wouldn't want to mow your yard either.
Yeah.
With that slope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Front
Pretty
yard.
dumb.
I'll do the front yard.
Yeah. I mean, I have a like it self-drives, and so I just have to walk behind it.
Oh, the self-propelled.
But it's a large backyard, and so I go like sideways across that slope, and so I just have to tilt the lawnmower so it's kind of like that, and then
Yeah.
it goes like that. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but
Yeah. I also have a self-propelled.
I was manifesting all day long, and then finally got it done. So
I mean, that's how manifestation works.
yeah, I was trying to manifest that one of my kids would do it, but it just turned out that it was me that was going to do it. So
Yeah. That's the universe's plan.
yeah,
That's how it was going to work out no matter what.
Like, yeah, fuck you, do it. Fuck. But yeah,
Fucking kids, man.
yeah,
Gosh.
yeah. I was like manifesting them to do it, and then like they came up and were like, we need $5 each because we're going to the pool. Like, that's not what I was manifesting, but here you go. Here's $5.
You know what you should have said? You can manifest $5 each if you mow the fucking yard.
Yeah, I don't know what's getting lost in the translation here, but grass needs to be cut. So yeah.
That's how you're gonna get your fucking $5.
Yeah. I keep telling him, I was like, dude, you guys could make like, I'll pay you guys, whoever does it, you know, maybe like $30 a week to cut the grass. Takes about an hour. You're making $30 an hour.
Yeah. And I try to make a deal with my oldest, like, hey, I'll pay you $20 an episode to edit. Well, then I thought about it and I was like, it's probably not a good idea, because then I would let it go and just pay him to do it. And then finally I would go back and watch one of them and see that he didn't edit it at all. Or maybe he just edited the intro and the rest is just like a static camera shot of just one of us or something.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I listen to them more so than watch them on YouTube, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna manifest one of these beers.
Manifest the fuck out of them.
Modelo Light.
Modelo Oro. You know, I've been just craving beer.
Dude, me too. I got some summer shandy the other day.
Krugels.
Yeah, however the fuck you say that. They're so much better out of a bottle. Out of a can. Yeah. They're just super, like, foamy. I don't get it.
Those are good, though.
I like that.
Yeah, those, and then those grapefruit beers.
Oh, in the like orange can?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they have them in the bottle. It's like some German name.
Yeah, I would always get like the 4-pack.
Oh, the Krugels?
Yeah, the tall boys. They're like the 16 ounces or whatever.
Those are good.
Those are good. Anyway, let's talk about some moon conspiracies.
The moon! I don't know what that was, but
that was like the perfect, like, conspiracy theorist dad joke.
Yeah.
The moon!
There is a plethora of conspiracy theories about the moon.
there was a lot more than I thought.
Yeah.
Of course, you got, the big one, like the moon landing was fake.
Mm-hmm.
Or, the classic, the moon's made out of cheese.
Yeah.
That old school one.
That would be tight, dude. Moon cheese.
I bet it tastes like blue cheese.
Probably.
Got
It's
that
been
tang.
there for fucking like 4 billion years. 4 billion year old cheese.
You're just like, this moon cheese goes perfect on wings. Which I'm going to fight and say blue cheese with wings is superior than ranch. My opinion, hot take.
Yeah. I go in like, sometimes I want the blue cheese and sometimes I want the ranch. Sometimes I even want both. And I'm a dirty fuck and I'll just dip them in both.
That just trumps everything. Oh God, I'm just. Or like, if you're gonna, get the drumstick part of it, like one side of it is blue cheese and then the other side of it's ranch.
Yep.
Can't do that with the flat though.
No. I mean, you could, but...
The flat's a one bite wing.
Yeah, especially if you do it fucking hardcore style and you like push it down to it's like a meat popsicle. Yeah. But yeah, there's, I mean, even the theory of the existence of the moon being what it is a conspiracy theory in itself.
Yeah, that was one. So the first one, obviously, to bring up, since you brought it up, is the idea that the moon is a hologram.
Yeah.
Which is perpetuated by flat earthers. We all know how I feel about flat earthers. But yeah, it's essentially a hologram, and part of their evidence is they're taking video of it, and you see this weird line like it's reloading. Have you seen that video?
Yeah.
But that's all just a technology issue, and a lot of that's captured on phones, where it's like, yeah, it's doing that because it's scanning it so it backfills it with AI.
Yeah.
That's all that really is.
Yeah, especially with the with that moon picture feature that they have, that you can like zoom in on the moon and have a super clear picture of the moon when it's just you zoom in and then it kind of like AI creates what you're looking at.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, if that's true, then how come you've been like humans have been seeing the moon forever? Well, not forever. Apparently there was a time before the moon.
Allegedly.
Which is another one of the theories. I mean, there are theories of ancient cultures that talk about the time before the moon was in the sky. And when the moon arrived, it changed the whole kind of atmosphere of Earth and created seasons and yeah.
And the tide.
And the tides were kind of calmed down because, as before, without the moon stabilizes the Earth's rotation and controls the tides. And so without the moon being there, it would everything would be kind of erratic. There wouldn't be like 4 separate seasons maybe.
Yeah, and the moon is partially responsible for, I can't remember what it's called, but like the bulge of the Earth, the essentially like the force field that keeps all the water in. So it's as the moon shifts, and that's what creates tides.
Yeah.
That's a really cool theory that it may not have been there to begin with. Here's another one, is that our universe, our original universe that we're from, and this universe collapsed in together. And so Earth is not actually native to this universe or this galaxy, if you will. And so when Earth, our planet, collided with the existing Earth, it created the moon.
I haven't heard that one.
That was a kind of far out there one that I stumbled across, and I was like, that's kind of a cool concept, but I don't see how 2 masses coming together just pops out a moon like it's a baby.
Yeah. So, I mean, the conventional theory of how the moon if you don't know, the Earth and the Moon, our planet and our moon are very unique. All the other planets that we can see, as far as we can see, don't have a moon like ours. And so, like, our moon is extraordinarily larger than most other planets' moons. The orbit is different than most other planets' moons. And so just the ratios are off, and it kind of baffles scientists on why it is the way that it is, and how come. I mean, if it is just coincidence that it's happened like that, it's the biggest coincidence that is kind of supporting life on Earth. To be able to, be where we're at. Without the moon, we probably wouldn't exist, because just the way that it helps stabilize our planet. So, like, conventional science says that there's a few theories on how our moon ended up being next to Earth. And one of the theories was that, like, it was just kind of a comet floating through space, and then kind of got stuck in our gravity, and then has just been there ever since then. Another theory is that proto-Earth, which was just kind of a large planet, was hit by another meteor as it was flying through space, and then everything exploded, and then kind of turned into this whirling, what is it called,
toroid, or yeah,
something. It's a mathematical term that's like a shape like a donut, like a three-dimensional sphere or circle, and as it's twirling like that, the Earth as we know it now formed, and then the moon kind of formed on the outskirts of that, like as just like debris collecting in the gravity. Kind of like you see like the rings of Saturn, how there's just a debris field in a ring that's around the planet, and then over millennia those things will come and form a planet, a moon, I guess. That's the theory. But as we've done studies on the moon, or not we personally.
Yeah, we're doctors, but
I
not
haven't
that kind.
been to the moon yet.
Yet.
But they've done studies on the moon, and if that was the case, if the moon was made from the same debris field as the Earth, it would have similar components to the makeup of the moon, and that's not the case either.
Yeah, the rock that makes up the outer shell of the moon, I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but it's kind of a soft rock, and it absorbs impact really well, which is another one of the conspiracy theories, is that the moon is hollow, but it has a metal core, and then on the top is all this rock. And the theory with that is that all the meteorites and comets and everything that have hit the moon, they all leave the same essential depression. Instead of leaving like a big gaping hole here and a big gaping hole here, all the holes, they vary in diameter, but the depth is almost the same, which is kind of weird in and of itself.
It is.
Because when, a meteor or an asteroid or whatever hits this planet, it leaves a huge fucking hole.
Yeah.
And part of that is atmosphere and heavier gravity, but it's never like a uniform size.
Yeah, you would think that, like, if it's a bigger meteor, it would have a deeper impact.
Yeah.
And that seems like it's not the case on the moon. It seems like, and that's what they're measuring, like every single crater is the same depth, even though it might be 4 or 5 times larger than another crater impact. Which is, kind of led to the theory that the moon is hollow. And it kind of leads to one of the experiments that the supposed Apollo missions that went to the moon tested for.
Yeah. Well, and there was there was essentially a test where they fired a bunch of just empty rockets at the moon, and every time they would do it, the moon would ring, as they said, like have almost a metallic resonant frequency, like a gong, gong. I don't know how they heard that, but that's kind of a weird concept. I mean, when you pair that together with the whole crater thing, and then them just like throwing empty rockets at it, and it starts ringing for variable amounts of time, maybe there is a big metal core under there.
Yeah. So one of the tests they did was, I think it was the Apollo mission 11. They landed on the moon, and supposedly landed on the moon. And when they were leaving, they left, and as they were leaving, they like ditched part of the lunar module after taking off from the moon, and they ditched part of it, and then that part fell back to the moon, and then they recorded this sound. They said it sounded like a bell. It was ringing. The moon was ringing like a bell. And so the next mission, I think it was Apollo 12, they planned to do the same thing, so they got a larger thing and left seismographs there to record what's happening on the moon as they drop this larger piece of equipment. And so they did that, and they said it rang for like 3 hours after impact. It just resonated, which, I mean, the Earth, if it's hit with something large, you can measure seismographs like that on the Earth and down into the core, but it kind of dissipates as it goes down deeper because it gets more dense the closer to the core of the Earth.
Yeah.
Which, if the moon was built, or moon was constructed kind of in the same way that the Earth was, you would expect the same properties.
Yeah.
Which is kind of completely opposite of what they actually recorded.
Yeah, because once it penetrates the crust and goes into the mantle, it is the Earth is much more compact and more dense. I mean, gravity is consistently pulling it in, so it is more dense. But whereas on the moon, it's the complete opposite, where they just hit, leave a very small impact, and then leave these ringing sounds.
Right.
So I'm like, fuck it, I'll buy it.
Yeah. The thing that I found...
The moon is like a big ball bearing, just covered in dirt.
Or is it not completely hollow, but there's, cities and people of certain lizard variety.
Or non-human intelligence and HIs, perhaps?
Yeah.
Indubitably.
Yeah, I mean, that goes right into, we've talked about David Icke and his theory of the lizard people that occupy the moon and feed off of our negative energy.
Our hate and discontent.
Yeah. They're fucking obese right now. There's a lot of hatred going on around.
Yeah. It is perpetuating the cycle. I mean, think about every time we have an election here in America, you have half of the country who's happy and half of the country who's not happy, and we bicker and we fight at each other about it. Or, you have different...
Yeah, if they were smart, they would just make sure Donald Trump gets elected for the rest of his life.
Yeah. They would just make an amendment to the Constitution to make him run over and over again. Or, they could rig elections for the opposite side, and then we could go back to spending lots of our hard-earned tax dollars on stupid shit that nobody wants.
Yeah.
They could do that. No, I think they do a good enough job just with politics and like celebrity culture to keep everybody nice and butthurt about everything.
Yeah. Keep all their lizard people constituents fat and happy.
Feed me your anger. Yeah. David Icke, which we have talked about, yes. And it's hard for me to be like, let's give the guy credibility, but fuck, we have to. Because we're talking about moon conspiracies. It fits right in. Yeah. A hollow moon with an entire like city inside filled with lizard people.
Yeah.
Just sitting there eating popcorn, watching us fucking ants bicker about everything.
Trying to like writing down in their lizard person journal.
Lizard person journal.
What, ideas they have up to put on social media that piss people off. Like, dude, Dave-inci's code is going to fucking hate this. But yeah, that's one of those wild ones.
That is a wild. Do you think the lizard people, like when they talk, does it sound like parcel tongue from Harry Potter?
I hope.
That'd be so cool. Yes.
Like if I met a lizard person and they're just like, you're like, come on, bro, at least fake it.
Or worse, they sound like Charlie Brown's mom.
Yeah.
You're like, son of a bitch, this is the worst.
Yeah, I think that to go along with all the craters and stuff, so they're talking about like the moon rocks and the way that it's made up, and it's like on Earth, like everything that's on the crust of the Earth, like if you go outside in your yard or whatever and find a rock, that rock, or I guess you can't carbon date the rock, but like if you test some stuff that's up on the top, it's going to be a lot younger than something that you dig down, and it's going to be older the deeper you go. And they're saying that it's the opposite on the moon, like the stuff on the outside is older, and then the stuff on the inside seems like it's fresher or newer.
Yeah, which is kind of weird.
Very weird.
And I'm sure, the much decreased gravity on the moon plays a factor into that, but how does it just like turn over like that?
I kind of wonder if in outer space like that, without an atmosphere, if the stuff on the outside decomposes a lot faster than stuff on the inside, or deteriorates maybe because of the radiation. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be it.
So when they're testing, they're getting samples that are more deteriorated, so that it seems like they're a lot older. I don't know. Just, a professor doing what he does, hypothesizing.
Hypothesis. I dig it. Gotta follow the scientific method.
Yeah.
Hit those 7 steps.
Yep, I've come up with a hypothesis. Now I just have to figure out what the other steps are.
Well, there's I can barely remember them. You have to have a control. So you have a hypothesis, you have a control, test, conclusion. I think there's a couple more in there. But we're like the cool doctors. We just, whatever we hypothesize, that works.
Yeah.
So
we're like the doctors that would wear like a clown nose to make people smile.
No, we're just sitting there thinking like heavily on the problem. I have it. Definitely.
Yeah. We're the cool doctors that'll give you a sucker at the end of your prostate exam. Or during.
Well, it's like this. Yeah, shit's weird here. Have a lolly.
One lick. Want a sip? Sip time.
What's a sip time? I will never get that image out of my head.
Yeah.
Just, oh, hey. So, we got to throw in the Ingo Swann, where Ingo Swann remote viewed the dark side of the moon and saw all these weird bases and different shaped buildings. And then as he's peering into one of the windows, he sees the aliens, and then he says, oh, they're looking at me now. So, can you imagine you're just like remote viewing the dark side of the moon, and you're like, holy shit, there's there's all these structures and weird bases and stuff. I'm gonna peer in this window, and it's like the alien cafeteria. And it's just a bunch of aliens. Like, what the fuck is that?
Give me 2 scoops of the fear and 1 scoop of the regret.
And I want some anxiety toppings on there.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're in that space of like remote viewing, and then you see that they recognize that you're there, it might be a little scary.
Yeah, because your physical body's not there.
Yeah.
How are they seeing you?
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. This is off topic, but I had a dream the other night that was kind of weird.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I had a dream that we got contacted by the White House, and we had to go because President Trump wanted to talk to us. And we were like at this Home Depot or something, and so we started walking to the White House, and I stepped in fucking dog shit. And then all of a sudden there was a huge truck coming down the road, and I had to jump and save this cat that was walking on the road. And then I woke up.
You know, there was never a single point during that story that I knew where that story was going to go.
Yeah.
That was along for the ride.
It just ended like boom.
Fuck, Trump wants to talk to us. We got to stop by Home Depot. Fuck, I stepped in dog shit. No, not a cat. Yeah. I love it, dude.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we're talking about Ingo Swann and remote viewing and astral projection. Was I really fucking on my way to the White House? Who knows? Or
you were just like vibrating in sync with another universe version of you that was actually going through that. Like, that Spencer had a crazy fucking day.
Yeah. Poor fucking shoes. Saved the cat, though. So.
Yeah. Ruined the Jays, but it'll be okay. Trump's like, is that dog shit on your shoe?
It smells like dog shit.
Get this man another pair of shoes. Now.
Super off topic, but I thought it fit.
Have you been working on your remote viewing?
I always think about it after I wake up. I'm like, fuck, I'm going to do that tonight. And then I don't do it because I forget about it.
It took me a while, but I've been practicing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's interesting. I don't know how to like put it into perspective without just sounding like a crazy person, but I definitely think there's a lot to it. And I think, at least for me, it's definitely something I'm capable of. But I kind of like think of it as lifting a really heavy weight. You're not just going to go in, you know, without having worked out in a long time and just start benching 300 pounds.
Right.
Like, you got to work up to it. So it's kind of what I've been experiencing. It's just a little bit here and a little bit here. Just a very kind of almost watered down experience. Just so like my mind doesn't just snap.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, now you're going to get a touch of this. All right, now that you got that, a little touch of this and a little touch of this. And it's just kind of like, I go a little bit further each time I try it.
Okay. So we might have some answers on this whole moon debacle here pretty soon.
Eventually, it's going to take me some time, but I mean, I think my consciousness will travel to the moon before NASA goes there again.
Yeah, and there are a lot of controversies, you know, debating whether they ever went there in the first place.
That's the big one.
What do you think about that?
I do believe that Americans went to the moon. I believe that if they were to have filmed some fake moon landing stuff, which even the stuff we've seen I don't think is fake. I watched enough videos that are positive on the conspiracy and then negative on the conspiracy. Like, I've watched both ends of it, and there's too many valid points for the people who say it happened and not enough valid points for the people who say it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that it's just a fun conspiracy. It's a fun thing to wrap your mind around.
Yeah.
But it's too easy to dismiss a lot of it, you know. Like the shadows of the lunar lander, they should be parallel and this or that. It's like, that's not how camera angles work.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like very amateur into photography, but I understand enough about it to go, that's not how lighting works.
Yeah.
Or what's another one of the big points they do? Oh, there's not enough dust off from like when the lunar lander comes down. It's only drifting. It's not like it has a propulsion system that's going down because they were so low on fuel. It was like, get us down at a... Yeah.
Yeah.
They were so low on fuel and they missed their landing spot by like 700 feet that they're not doing a burn as they're coming down. They're just getting it down to a safe speed where they can let what little gravity there is
Plop.
do the work.
Yeah.
And the lander itself had to absorb the impact. So that doesn't count to me. Or the video of I can't remember if it's Neil Armstrong or Buzz Aldrin. They like fall over and they're like, it looks like wires pulling him up. No, it looks like he's decreased in gravity.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, oh, they just slowed down the video to show, you know, the decreased gravity factor, but he's on wires. Like, okay, now play it back at the correct speed, and it looks stupid. Like, that's not how it works, you know? So, what do you think? What's your opinion?
I also believe that they actually went there. I don't believe that it happened live on television.
I don't either.
Whether it was filmed somewhere else or it was filmed and then broadcast later so they could put it together. I don't know about that, but just with technology the way that it is now, like I can, you know, my phone I can make a phone call to somewhere across the world, but like it's going to be shitty reception.
Mm-hmm.
I drop the internet all the time at my fucking house. And so, I mean, for them to be broadcasting live from the moon across, what is it, 200,000 miles or something like that? I just don't see that, like, being an option at the time. Especially going through the Van Allen radiation belt, like broadcasting a signal through that might be a little bit troublesome even now, as opposed to, you know, how long ago was that? 50 years ago?
1969 to 2025, so 56. I always have to do it this way. 80, 90, 10, 20.
Yeah, 56.
Or 66. Or whatever. I don't know. I can't math right now. I haven't had enough sleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was in 1969. I don't think the technology was there. I 100% agree with what you're saying. Like, if they did film some stuff in a studio, it was to feed that broadcast, not to fake it.
Yeah.
Like, they did go, it's just, we got to give the public something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The whole world was watching.
Yeah.
Like, we have to have something prepared. We can't just be like, well, they talked to Nixon on the phone. We can broadcast that, but we can't see shit.
Yeah. And that also, and it's like, you're doing all this stuff in real time and there's only a 7-second delay. That's kind of weird. Like again, use the internet as kind of a catalyst for, you know, where we're at today with technology. If you're talking to somebody on Skype or something across, so I've talked to my brother in New Zealand before on a video call, and there's like a 3-second delay, 3 or 4-second delay, and that's now with the technology we have now.
Yeah, and there's a bajillion fucking satellites up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't buy that either.
So yeah, I mean, I do believe that they went there. What they found is... The whole thing that's weird is that they went there So I think there's a total of 11 astronauts that have been to the moon, and that's it. All Americans. No other country has sent actual people to the moon. No other country has been able to cross the Van Allen radiation belt without killing the occupants inside of their ships. And they've done tests with like animals and stuff like that, and they can't penetrate through it. The theory is you have to be going a certain speed to go through without being affected by the radiation, but nobody else has been able to do it. You know, they've sent lunar modules and probes to the moon, but they haven't been able to put like a living thing through that before or since. And they say they can't do it now because they don't have the technology. They've lost the technology now.
Which is the weirdest concept.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so we don't have access to old, dead technology to get us to the moon. We're as state-of-the-art as we've ever been, but we need this stuff from 60 years ago.
Yeah. Get me a computer the size of a house and with the processing power of an iPhone, and we'll make it happen. Yeah, it's weird. And then it's like you want to go look at the original footage so you can like look for things like shadows that shouldn't be there, or like you know, some of the images look like it's the same backdrop in the background. So it's like, you know, that's one of the theories, is like, if these are all shot in separate places, why does the background look exactly the same? And it's like, well, it's because of the fucking moon.
It looks the same.
That, and so you try to look at the original footage and they don't have it because they erased it. Said they needed to make room.
Which is also highly sus.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we just recorded over the old tapes.
Yeah.
We fucking NASA. You can't just buy new VHS tapes.
Well, those are pretty important tapes, I would assume. Like,
yeah, I would think those would be in a vault.
You're like, no, it's Weekend at Bernie's now.
Dude, but Predator was coming on Sunday night. We had to make fucking sacrifices, okay?
Yeah. So that's another like issue that's like, why are there's so much stuff that just piles on and just makes it seem like it was fake. I think that's part of the whole thing, where there's so many people that believe in the theory that it never happened, is because there's so many things that kind of lead in the direction of being lied to.
Yeah, I do think, though, some of that is not beyond I know how to talk. I swear to God. I don't think those things are beyond explanation. We just don't have the explanation.
Yeah.
Where the Van Allen radiation belt, is it just a factor if they got really lucky and they found like a thin spot? Or was there some kind of external help? Was there a lot of lead shielding? Like, there's a ton of variables that would help, answer that question. Fuck, how bad is the Van Allen radiation belt? So many variables that I go, that's not going to stop me from believing that astronauts actually went to the moon.
Yeah. Well, I was listening to actually, I was listening to that, what's his name? AG on Joe Rogan. And he was talking about how they were like trying to figure out how to go through the Van Allen radiation belt. And so they came up with the idea that they were going to blow up nukes. And so they did that, and they shot nukes and tried to blow a hole through the radiation belt just to see if they could like punch a hole through there so that they could zip through there. But so they shot a couple nukes up into space and blew them up out there. And of course it didn't do anything.
Yeah.
It just made the radiation stronger, actually.
Well, I also have to wonder about what actually helped them get through it,
Yeah.
And I think the theorizing of that is way cooler than theorizing about how it's not real.
Yeah.
Because it's too easy to be like, didn't happen, fake news. Instead, it's like, how do they do it? You know, like I said, did they find a thin spot, or was like the mixture of fuel they used to power the rockets to get through there? Was it like ionizing the radiation or neutralizing it in some way? Like maybe aliens were like, holy shit, the monkeys got off the planet. Hold on, let me get that radiation out of the way for you. You know, because there is also the conspiracy theory of when they landed there and Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin went on the moon, and they're like switched to their medical channel, which is private, but people were tuning into it, you know, using their like ham radios or whatever. And allegedly those two were like, yeah, there's some creatures here just watching us, and you know, it's weird. What do we do?
Do not engage in sexual relations.
How cool would that be?
Sex with an alien?
Well, just to be the first dude to do it.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, motherfucker, I was the first human to set foot on the moon, and I was the first person in the world to fuck an alien.
Not on Earth.
Not on Earth, too.
Yeah.
I did it through the spacesuit.
Yeah.
Aliens fuck humans. Maybe if you face this way.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I mean, even with the astronauts, like when they got back from their missions, and then like they're like doing their like the interviews with the astronauts after they land again, it seems like they're just, and maybe that might be they're just fucking super tired from traveling through space, but it seems like they're really like feel weird about it, or feel like almost look like they're depressed or something in the interviews, which you would expect them to be like super happy about just doing this crazy fucking adventure they just went on to the moon. Excuse me. But they seem almost like somber when they get back. So like maybe they did see these beings, and the beings that just opened their eyes to a whole different like what's really going on. I don't know.
They just spent like days getting it fucking beaten into their head. You can't say a fucking thing about this.
Or just getting railed by aliens for, you know, a couple of days.
Don't move too fast around them. They're just like,
it's like fucking
you're not ready to be touched yet.
Skittish and just like sitting in the shower, rocking back and forth.
They said we were friends. I have an alternate theory to that. Because I kind of, and this seems off topic, but in parallel to that, I kind of have this thing where like after I do something that I find to be a lot of fun, I have like a come down and almost a withdrawal, and then I feel kind of like
melancholy.
Yeah, not like depressed, but just like life sucks now. I was just ghost hunting.
Yeah, true. That's true.
So I kind of get that a lot, even, you know, in the most basic situation. You know, we go out and have drinks or whatever, and it's a good night, and you have a lot of laughs and shit, and you get home and you're just like,
it's quiet.
You're like the living meme of Pablo Escobar standing in the pool, just like
staring at nothing. Yeah,
it feels like that. So I can imagine going to the moon and doing this incredible thing that only a handful of people are ever going to experience in all of humanity. And then you get home and you're just like,
and you gotta pay your car insurance.
Yeah, you're just like, I'm gonna go back to paying bills, and this is stupid.
Yeah, that's a whole different aspect of like, you're traveling through space, and you get home, and then you gotta fucking wipe your ass with fucking paper.
You gotta go home, and there's only 4 channels on the TV.
Yeah,
and if the president's on, forget about anything else.
Might as well just go fucking outside and enjoy nature, I guess. Yeah, so there's actually a few different. So we talked about what's his name, the remote viewer,
Ingo Swann,
who remote viewed the backside of the moon. There was also a guy that was like a data analyst or something that worked for NASA in the early 70s. I want to say it was early 70s.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
And he was talking about, like, there was a probe that was sent out, and then they were, like, taking pictures and stuff. And so he was analyzing the data they're receiving, and he's getting these pictures of, like, structures on the moon. Towers that are, like, super tall towers and pyramids and the remnants of what looks like cities on the backside of the moon. And so he's like super excited about it, thinks it's like this is the discovery of a lifetime. You know, we're making history right now. So he's kind of watching the news in the following days to, you know, see the reaction of the people once they see these photographs. But it never shows up, and then nobody ever talks about it, and then he becomes a whistleblower in the 90s because, you know, he says that he saw these pictures, and it was something that's been covered up. So again, that's kind of one of those things that kind of corroborates Ingo Swann's story, but still there's no evidence of it.
Well, I mean, if there is evidence of it, I don't think we're likely to ever see it.
No.
But I do love that guy's story because the way he tells it, he tells it very matter-of-factly, almost a little dry. And like he was supposed to go in and fix this piece of equipment, and he's basically assigned a partner, which is like an Air Force tech of some kind or another. And he's like, okay, so here's a piece of equipment that needs to be fixed. Oh, by the way, there's bases on the backside of the moon. Wait, what? Hold on.
I'm going to go to break now.
Yeah.
I got to take shit.
He's like, here's the photos of the shit on the backside of the moon. I'm going to go get a coffee. You want anything? How do you follow up from that? You just... But when he tells that story, I just like laughed because I pictured that scenario as dry as the way he says it.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, hey, by the way, Spence, I have a Bugatti outside. Be right back.
You have a what? Yeah. Is that proof? And you can see the pictures online of what he's talking about now, but again, there's such thing as Photoshop and fucking AI generated imaging and shit like that. So
yeah. Which is weird with when you think about like the James Webb telescope. You would think like when they send it out, like, hey, maybe turn the camera backwards as you're going, and then we'll just take a look.
Yeah.
But no, we can't be bothered.
No, we got other shit planned.
Look at this super colorful nebula.
Those are pretty cool. I mean, I enjoy a good nebula.
I fucking nerd out. Every time there's new images from James Webb, I'm just like, that is so fucking cool. Because looking at the history of it, all of these pictures that we see of space, they're colored, they're painted in, but the pictures actually come in black and white. But they have to figure out like what gases and things like that are in the area, and they'll color it accordingly to whatever is actually in that part of space. But now James Webb actually takes pictures in color, so what you're seeing is real-time imagery. And it's like, that's actually what's out there. That is so fucking cool.
Yeah. And it just makes me think about what I always talk about is, you know, I'm fucking David Icing this shit. Like, is that what the insides of our bodies look like in a microscopic, like a very microscopic, you know, view of things, Ant-Man style?
Ant-Man style. I mean, your body is made up of 5 trillion cells. Like, there's some crazy shit going on in there.
Yeah.
And it seems like we're just a bone mech with meat armor, you know, but there's actually a lot of technicality with our body, and we're essentially made out of fucking stardust anyway.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't, if you looked at us, at our bodies within a different field of view, why not?
Yeah.
Or like people with really cool colored eyes, when they really zoom in on it, like there's a lot of different texture in the colors. It's not just, oh, your eyes are hazel. It's a lot of different speckles of different colors.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, yeah. Why wouldn't the inside of your body look like a nebula or a black hole or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a brown hole, a black hole.
Like, dude, you think that nebula's cool? Go around the corner and check out the black hole.
Yeah, that's the black tank back there.
Yeah, what's another moon conspiracy we haven't touched on yet?
Oh, fuck. I had a whole list of them.
Yeah, so there was Apollo up to Apollo 13, 14. So there was Apollo 17 was the last mission, and it was supposed to be scheduled to go to 20 missions, but they canceled the last 3, supposedly, because of funding, and people weren't interested in it. The public wasn't interested in it as much as they were before, which is crazy. But some people say that there actually were at least three more missions that went to the moon, and there have been astronauts that have come out and said that they were on those missions. Mm-hmm. Whether they're full of shit or not, possibly.
I think if you're a legitimate astronaut, like you've gone through all the training and you have your fucking PhDs and everything else, like you've worked your whole life to become an astronaut, and you're literally on the bleeding edge of spacefaring technology. Speaking about anything that's conspiracy based is just going to wipe away all of your life's work. Mm-hmm. Forget about it. Mm-hmm. You're not even going to be able to fly a fucking 747 after that.
Yeah.
So being willing to throw everything away to become a whistleblower has a lot of credibility with me for an astronaut.
Yeah.
It's not like if if you and I saw a fucking alien at, Dugway or whatever, and we talk about it, nobody's going to give a shit.
Yeah.
But an astronaut, somebody who's spent a lot of time working towards becoming an astronaut, they're literally throwing their life away.
Yeah. To be fair, like, I haven't researched these people, and I don't know if they're even, if they really exist in the world of being astronauts or not. It's just stories that have been put on the internet.
Yeah, but is it really outside the realm of possibility?
I don't think so.
I mean, especially if you were to go look those people up and you find out that, hey, they were legit astronauts. Not anymore, because they open their mouth.
Yeah.
Then you're like...
even if they did, who's to say that you could even find that information anymore? Like, if it's been scrubbed, somebody comes out and says, especially like information that they're talking about happened back in the early 70s, mm-hmm. mid 70s. I mean, that's all analog shit now, and so it's like, be pretty easy to get rid of the evidence. Just record over it. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom's on that tape now.
I don't know though, because after hearing Elon Musk talk about only so many government workers can retire per year because of all the records are basically housed in this well.
Yeah.
So they have to pull up the records out of this well, go through and find them to be able to retire these people. And you hear that story and you're like, bullshit. And then you think about how the government actually works and you go, it's probably totally real.
Yeah, they just have one guy with a headlamp on a string getting wheeled down the well. A little bit lower. I'm getting down to J now.
So yeah, maybe those records do exist somewhere. They're just in a box or in a well or something like that. they could have just like totally Bob Lazard the whole thing.
Yeah.
You scrubbed 98% of it, but there's 2% that cast a reasonable doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, and so one of the stories is that there's this guy from Apollo 12 or Apollo 20, and he talks about his mission was to go and inspect this craft that they found on the moon, and the craft was this huge. They said it was like a 2-mile long craft, and. So they go and they get there, and so Apollo 19 supposedly like went to the moon, and then something happened and they lost contact with him and they never returned. And so Apollo 20 goes there, they find this craft, they go inside, and supposedly this craft has been on the moon for like 1 billion years or something like that. And so they go inside and they see like really weird shit inside the craft. It looks like there's like withered plant life inside the ship. And so as they collect samples and they start heading back to their ship so they can get returned to their lunar module or whatever, and they see tracks going off in one direction. And so they like decide to follow the tracks, and they find the Apollo 19 lunar module. And so they're kind of looking around there, and they find like scraps of like the other astronauts' suits from Apollo 19. And so they finally get into the craft, and they find this kind of like a mummy inside the craft, but it's not a human person, it's like a alien being mummy. And so they're directed to bring that thing back with them. So just a story, very interesting story, but
I think if that story was true, let's just predicate on that. I've heard so many different like creepypastas and stuff like that where they take that story and then they meld it into a different like horror story.
Yeah.
So much so that even if it was real, it's just become so fictionalized over the internet that you'd never believe it anyway.
Yeah. Well, was it Apollo 18, the movie they made? The Apollo, it might be Apollo 19.
I know what movie you're talking about. I never did get around to watching it because I totally forgot it existed until you said something just now.
Yeah.
But I remember going, oh, fuck, I gotta watch that.
It's not bad. It's like a horror movie. They go there and they find it's like these big, almost like spider type, like rock spiders or something like that that live on the moon, and they kill the fuck out of all of them. So all the astronauts, not the spiders.
Yeah.
Entertaining movie.
Wouldn't it stand to reason, though, that that's why they stopped going up there? Or maybe the aliens are like, dude, seriously,
Yeah.
the first guys were cool. Stop fucking coming here.
You guys are going to ruin fucking everything we got going up here. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I had a good thing going on the moon, I wouldn't want people coming and fucking wrecking it either.
No.
Like, dude, you guys are already destroying your own planet. Leave us the fuck alone.
Yeah. No. Stay over there and keep being angry at each other.
Yeah.
We're hungry.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even if you were to give like credence to the, those like 2 minutes of missing audio, where even people at home who were tuning into that frequency on their whatever technology they were using to hear it, and who attest to say that the astronauts saw aliens up there, people did hear it. So let's say that's real, and then you can fast forward to a few more Apollo missions where they try to go explore or make contact or whatever. Finally something goes horribly wrong to where they're like, okay, no more of this, we can't go to the moon anymore, lose the technology, copy over the tapes, we're gonna fabricate some other stuff to show to the public so that they don't know anything about the aliens.
Yeah.
So it has a little bit more credence to me than you know, it just being like, yeah, we went there, we collected some rocks, and we fucked off.
Yeah.
I think there's too much lore from different sources to say that there's something else going on the moon.
Yeah, I think that we did go there and we have been back without the public knowing about it. And to me, it seems like there would be a lot of reason to say that it's impossible now, just for the fact of if they went there and they found something like titanium or something that's like a very precious metal or a very rare mineral on the moon, or is a rare mineral here on Earth but is very like abundant on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
If they could go there and collect this shit and then bring it back to use for like furthering our own technology, I think that they would, you know, there'd be a strong reason to keep that stuff secret and keep it like, you know, we had the technology, now we don't understand it anymore and we can't go back because we lost the technology and nobody else can figure it out, so we don't want that technology spreading. Of course, we don't want our adversaries to get the technology, so, you know, let's lose it.
Yeah.
And, you know, we can continue these missions in super dark secrecy and get the shit that we want to get and without anybody knowing about it. Maybe.
Why not? I mean, I would think it would be incredibly easy to just hide, you know, a moon mission.
Yeah.
Because how many rockets get sent up into space, like, daily? We're always shooting satellites up there.
Yeah.
We're always shooting shit up into the atmosphere. How hard would it be to just be like, put this one hush hush, and we'll just say it's like an ISS refuel mission or something like that, you know, and then you're actually going to the moon.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, we lived in Florida, and I think there was at least twice that we went outside and watched the shuttle take off.
Mm-hmm.
Like a launch of the shuttle, and we just stood there at our elementary school and we could see it like taking off up into the sky. Mm-hmm. Super cool, but like I don't know what those missions were for.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Like SpaceX is launching rockets all the time.
Yeah.
Like we don't even know what they're for most of the time. Oftentimes it's a satellite, but do we know that for sure?
I think we have to work on just, you know, we've got our doctorates that might lend into us giving credence to become astronauts, not unlike Katy Perry and some of these other gals that are full-fledged.
Why did that totally slip my mind? Oh yeah, because it's mega fucking cringe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Katy Perry drove by a puddle recently, and now she's a marine biologist. It's like, what is it? There's 3 layers. There's, what is it? The tetrosphere, and then the stratosphere, and then the exosphere, and then it's space, essentially, where their ship basically, like, went just above the exosphere and then just came right back down. It was, what was it, like a 12-minute flight or something like that? I'm an astronaut. No, you're rich. That's what you are.
You're an asshole. That's what it is.
And then she got out and like kissed the ground, or the singing on the fucking craft itself. I would have punched her in the face. I don't hit women, but I probably would have punched her in the face because I can't stand her singing, let alone paying however many millions of dollars they had to pay to go on that.
Yeah.
Just to listen to somebody fucking sing and just like, I want to enjoy this, and you're really ruining it.
I'm going to travel in a rocket shaped like a dick into space.
Like Elon Musk made the rocket more like pointy at the end because of that movie, The Dictator, where the dictator was like, it's not pointy enough.
Oh, pop culture is so fun.
So I was kind of theorizing about this, and you know, the wee hours of the morning while I wasn't sleeping when I should have been. So the the space program was revolutionized by Nazis, right? Project Paperclip. And if you go back a little bit further than that, where during the 40s, Werner von Braun alleges that the Nazis actually had help, as he liked to call it. He wouldn't expound on it until it was his deathbed, where they created Die Glocke, which was essentially theorized as a teleportation device or an anti-gravity device. What if, having brought all those Nazis over to revolutionize NASA, they were able to bring some of that technology back with them, or recreate it in a way that created some kind of shield or barrier or some kind of like transference to go through the Van Allen radiation belt, and they applied it to, the ship, but didn't tell anybody. Like, only NASA knew about it, and that's why all the other countries can't do it.
It's a very strong possibility. I mean, the Nazis were fucking, even still, like, German engineering is almost superior to everybody else's fucking engineering. And but yeah, almost all of the top people at NASA were former Nazis. Even von Braun himself was a SS fucking...
He was a terrible person.
Yeah. Full-fledged fucking Nazi. Not a great person at all.
No. Yeah, Werner von Braun was a huge piece of shit.
Brilliant guy. And there's a reason why they didn't just kill him with the rest of the Nazis.
Yeah, you can't forgive what he did, but you can still use him.
Yeah. He's not the only one. I think there was around 6,000 German Nazi people that they brought over to put to work, and it benefited our situation for sure.
Yeah.
Especially during the times of the space race, where it was like a huge show of American dominance to reach the moon first, and that's part of the conspiracy of why a lot of people think that it was faked, was because we needed to, because we were getting kind of our asses kicked in the
yeah, because the Russians were way ahead.
They were the first ones to put people into space, and so we had to be the first to reach the moon. And I don't even know if they were that interested in doing it, the Russians. They were probably working on it, but so that's one of the conspiracy theories, or one of the ideas behind that conspiracy theory, that we never actually went there. It was just a show of American space dominance, which could have been faked as a psyop.
That's definitely a solid thought. Because the Russians had their own version of Paperclip, where they took a bunch of the Nazi scientists and shit, so they're just like, we took more that are good at aerospace, whereas the Americans took a wider array of different knowledge bases. But so now that I'm thinking about it, you got me going. My conspiracy brain just kicked on. Maybe it was the shandy.
A little bit of lemon.
A little bit of lemon. That's a twist of lemon makes everything better.
Speaking of lemons, one of the astronauts hung a lemon off of one of the Apollo mission rockets, because he said that nothing worked in there. So he said it's a lemon. A little fun fact.
That is fun fact. So hear me out here, Jebediah. What if, going back to the idea of, alien-based Nazi technology, because the Americans took a lot of that stuff. What if that's what we actually used to get to the moon, but they faked all the other stuff with the lunar lander and all that, and they filmed that stuff to show to the public, but we actually went there, it was just in this Nazi device. But the Russians didn't capture that. They only took the scientists. It was kind of the trade-off, because they were like, okay, Russians, you guys get to take Hitler and Eva Braun, and we get everything that's in this warehouse. And the Russians were like, deal. They didn't know what they just gave up.
I mean, so that can tie kind of into the whole, like, Admiral Byrd situation going to Antarctica shortly after World War II. They're like, at this point, they're kind of chasing the rest of the Nazis around the world and kind of killing them off. The Nazis are fleeing to Antarctica and Argentina. So one mission was also for Hitler to go to Antarctica to establish a base there, so they could set up a whaling station, so they can accrue their own oil for fuel and lamps and shit like that. So they're not relying on somebody else to provide that for them. So they send Admiral Byrd and a fleet that's like a highly armored fleet to go and investigate Antarctica for like a 6-month tour. And so they go down there, and they're only there for a couple weeks, and Admiral Byrd flies kind of over Antarctica and says that he sees like a bunch of like grasslands and shit like that, and woolly mammoths.
Yeah.
Encounters these people that call themselves the Aryans, but when he's flying, he says that he's flying, and then all of a sudden he looks to the left and right, and he sees 2 saucers flying next to him that have swastikas painted on the sides. So did the Nazis have these, had they already developed these crafts that can move like that? I don't know.
As many stories and things that I've heard about it, I'm kind of like, it's a very high possibility. But then you have to question, why the fuck did they give them to the Nazis?
Because they're Aryans.
The Aryans.
As Stitch would say. I don't know. I mean,
that's it. Stitch is a fucking alien.
Yeah.
Because he's half German and half Japanese. So he believes in Aryans. Aryans. That would explain the laugh.
Yeah.
It's a good thing he never watches this.
He'd fucking hate us more. I know he already hates me for sure. No, yeah, I think that it's a valid. We can start our own conspiracy theory.
I think so.
I think we just did.
I think we solved it. Doctor. Yeah, that's how they got to the moon, by using stolen Nazi technology that they stole from aliens.
Yeah, or was given to them by the Aryans.
Well, I mean, according to, what's her name? You're going to know who I'm talking about. The gal who said that every time a spacecraft lands on Earth, it's a donation.
Oh.
Diana Pasulka. Yeah. I beat you to it. Yeah. Fucking finally, I got one on you.
That's her name.
I'm proud of myself.
What did she say about him?
That every time one of them lands,
it's a donation.
It's a donation.
Right.
It's like here, we're trying to help you.
So were they trying to help the Nazis? And if so, how come it didn't work? Or did it? I mean, did Hitler really die?
No.
Or did he take off in a UFO?
So there's the, and I know I'm going to get some of this mixed up because there was so many secret Nazi societies, and some of them were very cultish, where I think it was the Thule Society, where right before the Nuremberg trials, the aliens that they were in contact with came and picked up a handful of these people from the Thule Society and took them to live on the moon so they could escape their inevitable hanging or fire squad.
Yeah. Did you ever watch that show, Hunting Hitler?
Yeah. No, he definitely fucking went to Argentina.
Yeah.
He did not die in the bunker.
No. I mean, even the remains, so they got the remains of him and Ava Braun, supposedly, that committed suicide and then somehow burned their own bodies. And so the Russians found their supposed remains and then took them to Russia. And so the Americans wanted to see proof that Hitler was dead, and so it was like years later they sent them the remains, and it was the remains of 2 females.
Yeah, both about 35 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, if I remember right, Hitler wasn't a 35-year-old female.
I mean, he could have been.
Could have been. He fucking aged terribly.
Well, we can't judge. We didn't know his pronouns.
Yeah. True. What is it? This is my truth, and we don't judge.
We listen and we don't judge.
There it is.
No, I'm gonna judge the fuck out of Hitler, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm inclined to believe that they had some stuff that nobody else had.
For sure. Meth does crazy things to a person's mind, and if you're like fueled by meth and it's kind of I don't know, I mean, so we have to, I mean, that goes into, like, so the Nazis were using methamphetamines and were giving it to the soldiers, and like it was prescribed to soldiers in their fucking like survival packs. It was part of their regimen, and it made them fight and march for days on end, and they didn't need to sleep, they didn't need to eat, they just did meth and fucking were crazy fucking soldiers. But going on binges like that can make your mind do fucking crazy things.
Oh, you'll snap.
We talked about it in the demonic possession episode, where the psychologist or psychiatrist was saying that there are certain drugs that open up certain things inside your mind, and he believed that methamphetamines was one of those things that opens kind of a darker energy, or darker portal to be more susceptible to these darker energies and entities. And he thought that it was people that were using these methamphetamines were most definitely being manipulated by darker spirits. And is it a possibility that, you know, that's what was happening there? They're getting guided by these dark entities to make these crazy things, to do these horrible, inflict horrible things on humanity.
Very possible. I mean, I was theorizing about it a long time ago of why were the Germans chosen, or why did they choose the Jews as like the people they wanted to exterminate? And so just in my crazy little conspiracy brain, I was like, what if, you know, the Germans are like kind of the progeny of the Aryans, the Aryan or the Nordics, if you will. You know, the master race, blonde hair, blue-eyed aliens. And then the Jews were a progeny of another race of aliens that the Aryans hated. So they're like, hey, Hitler, listen, we're going to hook you up with some stuff, but you got to start killing those people wholesale.
Yeah.
And it's just like an intergalactic chess game between races.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've talked about it in so many episodes now also, is like the lens you're looking at it through. You know, you're talking about it through interdimensional beings. Whereas, you know, the theory that I understood was that the Jewish people are God's chosen people in the Bible, right? And so he wanted to prove the non-existence of God, and so he was going to wipe out the Jews to say, you know, these aren't the chosen people. We're the chosen people. God isn't right. If God was right, how can I kill all of his chosen people?
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you're looking at it through a lens of like through biblical study or whatever, or you're looking at it through interdimensional beings or like aliens, looks like the same story, just being told in a different way.
Yeah. Just a different vernacular.
Yeah.
I'd buy it.
Yeah. So, I mean, do they really have a base on the moon? Maybe.
I almost wonder if the moon is almost like in international waters kind of thing. Of it can only be regulated by this certain species, or everybody can have a base there, but they can't be connected or whatever.
It's like the NATO of space or something like that.
Something like it's like the one neutral ground where, we can all sit here and watch Earth, but you know you can't fight here.
Yeah, what if there's like, what is there, 9 different species of aliens supposedly that are here on Earth already, right? That's kind of what the conspiracy theorists say. What if they all each have like separate bases on the moon and are kind of battling for control of Earth, but they can't do it outright, so they have to do it kind of like internally with the human, so they just manipulate from different sides to...
It would make sense. I mean, you're going to do it from a distance and you're only going to use influence instead of an actual assault.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in the movie Constantine, where God and the devil are eternally locked in the battle for, you know, human salvation or human damnation, but they can't directly influence it. They can only use like whispers and suggestion through humans.
That's what David Icke is talking about.
He must have saw the movie too.
He saw the movie Constantine and fucking The Matrix.
I get it, dude. Keanu Reeves. He's dope.
That's true. Maybe Keanu Reeves is an alien.
He's gotta be.
Or just one of the... He is the Terminator in real life.
No, I think he's a legit alien.
Yeah.
You think about it, like, the guy oozes charisma, but his acting talent is pretty low. He's like beloved by almost everybody. Can you name one person who doesn't like Keanu Reeves? Or at least a handful of Keanu Reeves movies? You can't.
No. I can't even think of a movie of Keanu Reeves that I don't like.
Dracula.
Ronin 47.
I didn't mind that. I just hated his English accent. And
yeah.
Like, how can you be English and surfer bro at the same time? It doesn't work.
I'm sure there's English surfer bros.
Yeah, but they're probably like, what are they, like West End or like Essex? Oi, bruv.
Oi, bruv.
We'll head down to the beach, catch a couple waves.
Probably.
We'll go surfing in the channel. I don't see a whole lot of people like surfing in River Thames.
Yeah.
It's like a cesspool.
You have to wear a fucking, like a wetsuit too, because I'm sure that the waters there aren't the most tropical of waters.
No, and they're dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. Did we miss any of the other moon conspiracies?
I don't know. I think every single one that we've talked about kind of leads back to the fucking... The moon is kind of what David Icke has said it is.
I don't want to give that guy credence. Come on.
So what are your thoughts?
I believe that the moon is... It's not as simple as we think it is. I think it's... I believe the Ingo Swann story. I believe the Armstrong and Aldrin 2 minutes of, missing audio of, hey, there's creatures here. I believe those things are real. Is it hollow? Yeah, I believe that one too. Is it full of reptilians who are just like, feed me your anger? Not so much. I find the reptilian thing just hard to believe all the way around. It just gives too much power and control to one species.
Yeah.
And even, like you were saying with the 8 or 9 different species or whatever Eric Davis recently said, you mean to tell me the reptilians are in control of all the other ones?
Well, so, like, going back to, like, the Book of Enoch and the Watcher's story and the Anunnaki and the tales of the Anunnaki saying that this race of gods came down to this planet and encountered so their mission here was to mine gold because their home planet the atmosphere was deteriorating, so they found out that if they put gold into the atmosphere it would reflect the rays of their planet's sun, and so it would like cool down their planet and more regulate the atmosphere on their planet. So when they showed up here, found that the earth was relatively rich in gold deposits, and but the digging for it was kind of tough, and so they brought along a race of beings. I can't remember the name of the race of beings, but they brought them here, and they were a reptilian race. And so the reptilians, they used them to mine the gold, and so they mined for a couple hundred years, and they started getting sick of it, and they're like, this is hard work, this is bullshit, we're pretty much slaves. So they rebelled against, and so there was a war that was fought between the Anunnaki and the reptilian race, and so they fought this war for a while, and then one of the generals came up and said, here, I have an idea, why don't we just take this existing hominid and then breed them to be our own slaves, and then kind of breed into them this a gene that's like a worshipping gene, and so they'll worship us and then do whatever we say because we're their gods and they have to do whatever we want them to do. And so that was kind of the deal that was made, and then so the lizard people just kind of fucked off and didn't have to do their shit anymore. So could they have gone to the moon and they just took control of the moon there? I mean, if the rest of the part of that story is true, then why not? And then the Anunnaki got what they wanted and just fucked off back to their planet. And then so the hominids that are here left, start just fucking and making other people. And, that kind of explains our hunger for gold.
I love gold!
Yeah. What for? Like, it really doesn't serve any...
No, because really when you think about it, what good is gold? It's a very soft, malleable metal. It
conducts electricity really well, but...
It does, but other than that, it's mostly kind of useless.
Yeah.
Like, great for HDMI cables.
Yeah.
That's about it.
So, I mean, that's just, is that where David Icke is getting this inspiration for the lizard people? Probably.
I think so.
He's tying his knots to existing theories, and,
But to me, it's almost like you're taking these other theories and just connecting them to the narrative that you want.
Right.
Versus like the hollow earth theory, that the reptilians retreated to the hollow earth and they live inside there and they only come up once in a while, but for the most part they just want to be left alone.
Mm-hmm.
Which I like way better than they're just chilling on the moon.
Yeah. There's not even a fucking McDonald's on the moon. That's fucking dumb. Maybe there is. I don't know, on the backside.
They don't even have a post office.
But yeah, I think that I'm pretty much the same kind of along the same lines as where you're at. Like, I think that the moon is a huge mystery, and until we go back there and kind of figure out the mystery, it's going to remain that, just, mysterious. Whether we'll ever do that or not, I mean, if we don't, I think that that's kind of a conspiracy theory of its own, like, that feeds into it, like, why don't we go back? We're planning to go to Mars, why don't we go back to the moon? Well, unless they went there and there's just fucking nothing there. There's no point.
Even then, you would still want to continue your exploration. You'd still want to learn more about it. I mean, that's what we do as humans, where there's not one single thing on this planet that we don't try to dissect and learn everything about.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't we keep going to the moon until we know more about it? But yeah, it is a strange thing that there's not been a moon mission since 1973, well, on the books. And then all these other countries can't do it. It is very strange.
India just landed a lunar module on the moon, which is weird. It's like, fuck, now the moon smells like shit. You're gonna get banned, dude, sorry.
There's just an astronaut up there with like a beat up fucking pan, holding it with his toe while he's handling food on it. We don't have MREs. Yeah, we're getting banned together. This is how it's going.
Yeah.
It's just jokes. Yeah, so allegedly there was supposed to be a new lunar mission towards the end of this year from NASA. And the Japanese are working on one too.
Really?
Yeah. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm not holding my breath for any kind of disclosure if there is something there. But a lot of, Japan is one of them, but a lot of countries are being pressured for disclosure programs like what we're doing here in America now with our disclosure oversight committee.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of other countries are actually being pressured to follow suit by their own citizens, no less. And some countries are already in it, like Israel and the, I can't remember what the guy's title was, but he was like national security director or whatever of Israel, was like, oh yeah, we've seen aliens and all kinds of shit. Just came out and said it. And nobody like tried to silence him. Must be nice.
Must be.
But I really think a lot of these mysteries of the moon have already been solved. They don't want us to know.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. They would just, like, give us the information. Nobody fucking really cares.
They could just give it to us, and we'll say it here, and post it, and then, like, who's going to believe it?
Yeah.
Like,
that would be the easiest way to do disclosure, actually, is just contact a bunch of, like, small podcast people and just give them the actual information and be like, this is all real.
even better,
spread.
Pick like 100 different podcasts and just give them like 10% of the story.
Yeah.
And then over time, it would be like, holy shit. So Dave-Inci's code said this, and then like your mom's house said this, and then the fat electrician said this. Like, you have to put all the story together yourself.
Yeah.
And it would take forever.
Yeah, but all the information is there.
It's there.
Solved it, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
we solved
anybody in the
disclosure,
government.
we solved the moon. Anything else we needed?
Oh, one thing we didn't talk about was tunnels under the moon.
Oh, yeah.
Which, if it's hollow, what the fuck you need tunnels for?
Yeah. I mean, it does seem like it's probably... Why would there be just the whole structure like a eggshell with a bunch of dust on top of it? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
It's weird to me that so low a gravity on the moon, but all the dust stays on the moon's surface.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you just have like a good couple of feet of just loose dust just kind of permeating and floating about. It's kind of like if the Earth has this big molten core, why is the bottom of the ocean so cold?
That's a good point. Another mystery to tackle.
Yeah, we have to tackle Hollow Earth at some point. Although, if you've seen Godzilla, King Kong, New Empire, it solves it.
I don't know if I've actually seen that one.
Essentially, there's a Hollow Earth where all the ancient species live, and this ancient civilization of like indigenous people who worship Mothra. And anyway, Godzilla and King Kong team up to go fight some other creatures in there that are totally forgettable.
Tight. Sounds tight.
Turn your brain off and watch it. It's fun.
Yeah.
Don't think too deep on it.
Well, I mean, it's Godzilla. Gojira.
Gojira.
But yeah, I mean, the moon is definitely a mystery, and I'm looking forward to the next couple of years to see if anything is revealed. I don't think it will be, but
it would be cool.
It would be cool.
I mean,
we can manifest that.
I'm going to manifest full disclosure, the good stuff, the bad stuff, everything in the middle. I'm going to work on that later. When I'm laying in bed later tonight, I'm just going to manifest the fuck out of that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it right now.
If I tried to do that right now, I'd probably just fall straight asleep.
I would too.
And then have another weird dream about going to the White House and stepping in dog shit, so.
Dude, what if it's your own shit you stepped in because it happens? Trump just calls us and he's like, go to Home Depot, I'll pick you up there. and then you shit and you step in it. You're like, fuck, that wasn't dog shit, that was my shit. Rosebud.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go through a dream dictionary and find out what this dream meant. Because I was thinking about it this morning, like, what was that? Like, there's got to be something.
So, here it is. Stepped in dog shit means you're gay.
Fuck. Saved a cat from a bus, gay. Damn it.
Yeah, that's a fun dream, though.
Yeah, I woke up, I think it was Tuesday after we got off night shift. When I was sleeping, I woke up in the afternoon. Like, the fuck was that?
Do you sleep with the TV on?
No.
Oh. So lately I don't anymore. Like I turn it off right before I fall asleep. I'm kind of in that like limerence, and I have just enough wherewithal to go, shut up. But when I fall asleep and the TV's still on, especially if I'm watching YouTube, it's the worst because those external sounds influence your dreams. Mm-hmm. And so I fell asleep watching the Y-Files. So it started off with like a conspiracy dream, and then at some point Wes Watson was yelling at me about what a fucking pussy I am because I'm not jacked and I don't have a shitload of money. And I was like, God, I hate this guy so much. And I wake up and there's a Wes Watson video playing. Well, it was a video of somebody talking shit about him, which is infinitely more entertaining.
Fucking YouTube fever dreams.
Dude, maybe we should throw his stupid ass on the moon. Let's see how tough you are now, bitch.
You probably get kicked off of the moon pretty quick, I think.
They just see the shuttle coming with his stupid fucking face in the window. The aliens are like, no.
Yeah.
He's just in there throwing a
fire rocket 1, please.
Photon torpedoes, lock on. Fire 2 just in case. Even the Earthlings don't want this one back.
Battle does to the ready.
So yeah, dude, we solved this moon thing. It's hollow. It does have a metal shell.
Yes, it does.
There are bases on the backside. Yeah. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin saw aliens. We actually did go to the moon, but they faked some of the shit for the public.
100%.
Doctor? See? We're just out here solving the world's problems.
Yeah. Should call us fucking rap gods because we're just rapping shit up.
Fucking Bo. That's what's up.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Let's fucking kill it. Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.